Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's good. Thank you. That's enough. Calm down. Welcome, everyone, to Pondering. That's right. That's why the crowd's so excited. It's time for Pondering. It is a beautiful, sunny, soon to be very hot, I'm told, Thursday morning here on the Pondering Podcast, June the 4th, 2020. Welcome aboard. Great to have you. Wayne is here. Welcome, Wayne. God bless you. My brother, Susie, welcome to you and others who are joining us. If I've missed anyone, I'm sorry. Listen, thank you for joining us on Pondering. Thank you for being willing to brain exercise with us this morning, to bring your brain, not check it at the door, to actually ponder things, not to accept what the media gives you and swallow it whole. No, but to think. And do so from an unabashedly, unashamedly, unapologetically Christian perspective and paradigm. And we do this every weekday, Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have no holds barred. We are not politically correct. We can disagree even, but we just ask that we not be disagreeable on this show as we do this. And you can participate in a number of ways. You can type into the live stream, as some are doing as we speak, and say hello or make a comment. You can email us. And in fact, you can post after hours even if you'd like to do that on the same page, Pondering Radio. The Facebook Pondering Radio page. You can email ponderingradio@gmail.com, ponderingradio@gmail.com, or you can call and leave a message if we're not here, which, the phone line's available around the clock. And that number is 860-500-7163, 860-500-7163. Prakash, good morning. Linda, good morning. Oh my gosh, got a bunch of people jumping on. Great to have you guys with us. Hope you're doing well, staying safe, staying COVID-free, staying riot-free. There's more chaos overnight in New York. It's so sad, and we'll talk more about that as we did yesterday a little bit. It's kind, in a way, I think even our media is, as much as they're distorting and creating a lot of this chaos, I suspect that they are relieved to not be talking about COVID-19 for a few days, but it is just a sad, chaotic time. Just a little word of warning for people in the Newington, Connecticut area, where some of our listeners are and where the Pondering headquarters is located. I'm told that tonight at 5 o'clock, there will be a protest at the corner of Cedar and Main, which probably means they're going to try to shut those highways down, those two roadways. It kind of has been the modus operandi, and that is rush hour. It's already a parking lot there pretty much every night, so it will probably back traffic up onto the Berlin Turnpike and out onto Route 9 down Cedar. So just avoid that area. I would recommend you avoid that area if at all possible. It may not come to pass. It may not be as disruptive as I think it could be. But I have to be at a meeting at 7 on the Turnpike, so I'm planning my route to avoid that area if at all possible. So I would suggest you do the same. But anyway, yeah, there's just a lot of that. It's everywhere. It's in every city. It's now spreading out into municipalities and suburbs like ours. And here's the thing, guys. I know, as I've said, that no matter how I phrase this, no matter what I say, I'm going to be called a racist because I'm white and I'm middle-aged and I'm a guy. And I honestly don't believe I have a racist bone in my body. And in fact, I have fought against stereotypes. I've shared with you, I think, in the past how I was responsible for ordaining the first black pastor elder at Calvary Baptist Church many years ago. It was a Swedish Baptist church. I used to joke about that we were the first Swedish Baptist to ordain an African-American leader. But at the time, people said to me, "Oh, it's so good, Pastor, that you're seeking diversity on our elder board." And I said, "Stop right there. Stop right there, please. Don't go any further. And please, whatever you do, do not say that to my brother." And they look at me funny, like, "Well, what's wrong?" Because it's such a politically correct thing to say, isn't it? That you're ordaining this black man because you're seeking diversity. and so that we're not getting the light in here. There we go. Um, and I said no, because that's not why we ordained him. We ordained him because he's the most qualified, spiritually gifted uh, leader in sync with 1 Timothy 3 and Titus 1, the biblical requirements for eldership. That's why we ordained him. I would trust him with my life, with my family. He's a good, righteous, powerful man of God. That's why we ordained him. Not because of his skin color, not because of his racial or ethnic background. So please don't imply that. Don't imply that it was a quota we filled by ordaining this guy, because it wasn't. Now, it's so funny because how would you feel if someone said, hey, look, we took you because you were fill in the blank, a woman, a man, tall, short, fat, thin, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. That's why we hired you, or that's why we ordained you, or that's why we put you in this role, because of stuff that you have no control over. This is how you were born, but that's why we're doing it. Really no qualifications, no expertise, no sense of giftedness or calling. No. We're ordaining you because of your skin tone. I think that's an insult, frankly. As much as culture promotes this idea, I think it's a direct opposite of what people want to happen in our country. So just a little bit of background there. But when this whole thing started with George Floyd, I said to you as an audience a couple of things. One, I said I think the police overreacted, used excessive force, and they should be fired and tried. And they are being fired and tried. Second-degree murder for the guy whose knee is on his neck. Some people say, why not first degree? Well, to be first degree, it'd have to be premeditated, which there's no evidence of that. It's the highest, most severe penalty you can probably try someone for without evidence of premeditation, as I understand the law. And then the others, the guys who stood around and watched it and didn't intervene, they're being tried for third-degree murder. And I think that's appropriate. That's fine. I said that day one. But the other thing I said was that I don't believe this is a racial crime or hate crime. I don't think the evidence supports the idea that these policemen were driving along and they saw this black man and went, oh, let's kill him, which is how the media likes to project this, how certain groups that are prone to violence and civil unrest are promoting this. And it's just not true. And I said that the video appeared to show that Mr. Floyd was high as a kite at the time, probably resisting arrest. Since that time, there have been even black commentators coming out and saying, not only that, but the guy had a rap sheet that read like War and Peace. Multiple arrests, 2 jail terms, one for holding a gun to a pregnant woman's belly and threatening to blow away the baby unless she gave him money for drugs. Now, you could say, well, he was maybe reformed, maybe he became a Christian. I had someone tell me that day. He was a Christian, and his family's for peace and love, and he was a gentle giant, the phrase that the media used initially for him. Maybe so. However, the autopsy showed that I was right in what I said about the video, which is that he was high on fentanyl and methamphetamine at the time. And if you look closely at the video, there's a bag that falls out of his pocket, a baggie with a white powder in it, probably not baking soda, I'm guessing. Again, does that mean he deserved to die? Of course not. Does that mean the police are innocent? Of course not. But does it mean it was a racial hate crime showing systemic racism and systemic white privilege that should warrant angry riots that burn buildings, kill innocent people, stab policemen in the neck like this officer in New York last night? This guy walked up, just rammed him in the neck with a knife. Thankfully, didn't hit a jugular, so he probably is going to survive. And then a couple other guys showed up with guns and started blazing away at the police. Does it warrant looting like happened last night where Curtis Sliwa and his guardian angels ended up 5 or 6 of them holding off a crowd of like almost 300 at one point, trying to break into Target, get more stuff out. And they're throwing bottles and knives and rocks, and they're trying to, fight these guys off. Thankfully, they're all trained in martial arts and they're pretty proficient. They held them back till the police arrived. But, they're all bloodied up, from being hit in the head with stuff. Does it warrant all that? Does it warrant innocent black business owners having their life's work destroyed, burned to the ground, along with their white counterparts and Asian and others? No, No, no. Does it even warrant, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble, people marching around with Black Lives Matter signs? I don't think so, because I think all of us believe Black Lives Matter, and we know God does. And I think all policemen I've ever met, let me put it that way, I've known policemen, police chiefs, security guards, prison guards, they believe that all lives matter, including Black lives. What they don't believe is that criminals should walk around the street doing what they want. Remember, when the police were called on Mr. Floyd, it wasn't just because he was walking down the street and he was big. As the media's covered this up, but you can dig deeper and find out that the people in the store weren't just concerned that he could be using a fake $20 bill to pay for something. They were concerned because he was acting strange. He was, wandering around and talking to himself and acting erratic, and they were afraid. Because obviously he was high, and they called the police, who obviously tried to restrain him. Did they go too far? Absolutely. Should they be punished? Absolutely. Is it a hate crime warranting race riots from sea to shining sea? No, absolutely not. And it's time for us to think things through, to consider, to talk, to be rational, not to be emotional. It's time for us to stand on truth. Jesus said you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's absolutely true here. If we put emotion on the shelf and spoke truth and acted in truth, we would not be shutting down highways, burning down buildings, or hitting police horses in the head with bricks. We wouldn't. So those are my thoughts. We need to pray for our nation. We need to pray for pray for peace. We need to pray for the people that are upset and angry and have been lied to by the media, deceived, clever editing, and omission of certain facts and details. We need to pray for the police and their safety and other law enforcement people, for our president and leaders. I mean, I told you yesterday about President Trump and what's being said about his walk to the church, and there are people mad at him because he's not coming out and speaking, to everyone. And I think part of it is because he knows all the stuff I just said to you and more, no doubt. And he's a man of principle. Like him or not, he's blunt, he's direct, he says things that, are inflammatory at times. I get it. But he is a man of principle. He's not going to contradict himself and say, yeah, we need to deal with systemic racism and white privilege. He's not going to say that because he knows that's not what this is really about. It never has been. It wasn't what caused Michael Floyd's death. George Floyd, sorry. It's not going to cause his death. It's not what caused his death. So he's not going to say that, which is what people want him to say. So no matter what he did, if he did speak out, which he has spoken out, I've heard things he said about we need peace, we need unity, we need to turn back to the things that matter. That's why the march to the church, the Bible yields up, this is what made America great. We need to get back to this. Those things he said, but that's not going to get coverage in the media, and it's only going to be attacked and made fun of. President Obama spoke out last night. Some of you have heard that or heard about that, and he told everyone to make leaders uncomfortable. That was his advice to everyone. Make the leaders uncomfortable. Well, President Obama, with all due respect, I think they are uncomfortable. Anytime you see your city in flames or cities in flames and people dying and innocent folks being, beaten up and having their livelihood destroyed, I think you're uncomfortable. I think you're sad. I think you're upset, angry, hurt, sad, all the above. I was listening to some stuff yesterday, and I just started to cry in the car. I'm thinking, this is just so crazy, so chaotic, so out of control. And it need not be. But telling people to act in a way that makes people more uncomfortable is not the solution to the problem. But you'll hear great praise for his speech, no doubt, from the media, because that's what we do. So I just want to encourage truth, honesty, love and grace, prayer, yes. But we can't stand on emotion and false pretense and see our country heal. Linda, good morning to you. I think I said that. Mickey, welcome. Great to have you. Linda Rouse, Rich and I are going to be at the rally. My sign says, George Floyd loves God. Do you? Well, I don't know. About him loving God. I've heard this, but I also know what his record is and what his crime was at the time, and that he was apparently high as a kite. So that doesn't mean he wasn't a Christian. Christians can sin and make mistakes, but was he just an innocent guy killed by racist police? No. So that's why I won't be at the rally. Fred, good morning. Mickey said hi again. I did catch you. Brenda, good morning to you. Great to have you. Susie says it's really not about him. And Jennifer says, good morning, everyone. Yeah, it ceased to be about him. But unfortunately, what's being said about him and what's being said about what caused this, again, am I suggesting that he deserved to be treated the way he was? No way. They deserve to die. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is the media and the political left using this as a flamethrower to stir up anger over racism, white privilege, all this stuff, is wrong. Is shameful, is sinful, and we shouldn't support it. And the idea that, we need to march and rally and tell everyone that Black Lives Matter, because of what happened to Michael George. I want to keep calling him Michael. I don't know why. George Floyd. That the idea that that's what has to happen or should happen is a false premise. That's you know what I mean? It implies that he was killed because he's black. Not true. Absolutely not true. So that and that black people are treated unfairly because just innocently going about doing your business, doing some shopping, and here come the police and they kill you. And this is the image. This is the projected understanding that people have, which leads to anger and frustration and, wanting to throw a Molotov cocktail or steal something from somebody or burn down their business. But it's not. It's a false premise in general, and it's a false premise in this specific instance. He was arrested because he was high, acting strange, probably trying to pass a fake bill, and had a rap sheet a mile long. That's why he was arrested. And unfortunately, the police, went overboard, used excessive force, and they should be tried for it, and they are being tried for it. So, again, we just need to have cooler minds prevail. We need to think through what we're doing and saying, and maybe he loved God. That's great. Praise the Lord. Then he's in heaven, right? And I'm sorry that this all happened, but he was not innocent. He was not just minding his own business, and the police came along because he was black and killed him. And that's why I am not supportive of the rallies, nor will I pile on the president when he walks down the street to a church, holds up a Bible, and says, this is what made our country great. We need to get back to this instead of trying to destroy it. And, of course, right over his shoulder is the burned, charred exterior of the church that the rioters tried to burn down the night before. And Franklin Graham said the same thing in a tweet this morning, I believe it was this morning. He said, people ask me if I'm offended by the president, holding up the Bible and doing this. He said, no, I'm actually encouraged by it. And Mr. Graham, amen. Pastor Graham, amen. So, anyway. Yeah, and Jennifer says if his death was caused by someone with any other profession, we would not be seeing this chaos, right? Absolutely true. And I don't know, Pastor Jim, did I say good morning to you? But welcome aboard. So those are my thoughts. I think, I know the media is, Linda, you're right. The media is portraying him as just this wonderful civil servant, gentle giant, which again is the same phrase they used for the young guy who robbed the convenience store and tried to attack the cop in his car and steal the gun. The gun goes off, then he runs and he stops and he charges the cop, gets shot, 4 years ago? And hands up, don't shoot. In fact, you'll see the marchers, even the peaceful ones now, walking around like this. Why? Because they're going back to that case. They're connecting these two gentle giants, right? They say that the first several witnesses on the scene in St. Louis, and I can't remember the boy's name now. It just won't come to me. But they said he put his hands up, said, don't shoot, and the policeman just gunned him down in the street. And the riots ensued, right? President Obama and Eric Holder sent people in there, and they were going to get these cops and just set this all straight. Well, 8 years of President Obama, by the way, we did not see a cessation of what people call systemic racism, right? This problem did not go away. In fact, the cities that are most on fire, literally and emotionally, figuratively, right now, are cities run by, for the most part, Democratic liberal mayors with Democratic liberal governors. And so if they all get this and they're all understanding it and they are trying to figure why is it so bad in those areas and why hasn't it gotten any better in the last 10 years? Good question. Because a lot of it's based on a false premise. But anyway, well, after that initial report from St. Louis 4 or 5 years ago, the witnesses under questioning admitted that they lied, that he really didn't put his hands up at all. He didn't say don't shoot. They recanted their testimony. And it turns out he charged the cop. Again, this was after he'd already attacked the policeman and tried to get his gun from him and went off next to his head, didn't hit anybody. And then when he, caught up with the kid again and told him to drop to his knees, he charged him, and that's when he got shot. You say, well, he was unarmed. Yeah, but he was about 3 times the size of the officer. He'd already attacked a store owner and knocked him out of the way and attacked the officer once trying to steal his gun. So this was not just, again, some kid, gentle giant, walking down the street, hey, everybody, and the policeman comes up, hey, freeze, and then he, okay, don't shoot me, bam, 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 bam. That's the way it was portrayed. It was an absolute abject lie. Now they're referring to Mr. Floyd as a gentle giant as well. And I'm not saying he wasn't gentle, and I'm not saying that he deserved to die at all. No way. I'm not even saying he wasn't a Christian. Perhaps he did give his life to the Lord at some point. But what we know is at the time of his arrest, he was using a apparently counterfeit $20 bill, whether he knew it or not. He had drugs in his system, was high as a kite. He probably had a bag of cocaine in his pocket, which fell out when they were arresting him, according to the video. At least it looks like that. And had a rap sheet a mile long, 2 prison sentences, including armed robbery of a pregnant lady at gunpoint. So I just don't agree with this idea that he's a gentle giant, and because you got to understand why they promote this image. They promote the image because it stirs people up. It creates anger and division, which sells more media time and promotes the idea that somehow this is President Trump's fault because he's not leading well. If he was leading well, this wouldn't happen. We'll forget about all the riots under President Obama, apparently, but, this is the narrative. And we all have to think it through, do a little homework, not swallow whole what the media says, and not let ourselves and others get sucked into this because it doesn't help. Promoting a false narrative of any kind, theological, philosophical, emotional, political, never helps. That's why Jesus said you should know the truth will set you free. And that's true not just religiously or spiritually, it's true in every aspect of life. Even if the truth hurts, it gives you freedom from deception and damage that can come from deception. At the very least, damage of disappointment, discouragement, bashed false hope, all that stuff. So in this case, yes, we need to know the truth. We need to see the facts, and we will quickly understand that there are 2 extremes here. One is to say, well, the policemen just doing their job. No, they weren't doing their job. They killed a man unnecessarily, and they need to be punished for it, and they are being punished for it. But that would be an extreme. And the other extreme is what we're seeing as a cause for burning down buildings and hurting people, killing people even, is this idea that this is just another example of, racism in the police force, in the system. It's automatic. Innocent, sweet, gentle giant black people get killed all the time by officers just for fun or whatever, or just because of their hatred. That's an extreme. That's the basis for the protests. That's the basis for the riots that spring out of the protests, granted by some who are even paid to do it, like Antifa, and that's being investigated now by the Department of Justice, apparently. Good. That should be. But it's based on a false premise. The truth is the police overreacted to a man that was high and acting strange, who had a criminal record, and he died. And they need to be corrected for excessive use of force. Period. That's where it should stop. Not marching down the street, shutting down highways, or worse. And I know that won't make me popular, even within the Christian community. There are going to be people who say, you don't have any love, you don't understand, you're white racist, or whatever. I'm not. I love the Lord. I love all people. I have always demonstrated that. My track record as a pastor proves it, and I will stand on that. But I'm not going to get sucked into a false narrative based on lies and misrepresentations and exaggerations. That's what this show stands for. So therefore, I can't ignore that and let it go. All right. Jennifer says, hi, Tina. She must be on. I must have missed her. And Linda's not going. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it's up to you. You know, you can go if you want, but I wouldn't, because it's based on the media misrepresenting things and leaving stuff out, and just constantly pushing this narrative to cause division and hurt in our country. And I'm sick of it. I mean, we just need to shut them off. If enough people stop watching them, they'll stop broadcasting this stuff. They'll have to be balanced and more honest in their reporting. So, yeah, that's what we need to do. And I hope and pray we can. So anyway, God bless you guys. I'm out of time. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow's Free for All Friday, so whatever's on your mind and heart, that's what we'll do. We don't have to talk COVID. We don't have to talk, Floyd. We don't have to talk racism or anything else. We can talk about whatever you want to. If you got a verse, you have a question, you have something you want to dive into in Scripture, for example, I'm happy to do that. Just bring it. Tomorrow morning, 7:30. Tell your friends, neighbors, and complete strangers, even if you can get close enough to them without breaking social distance laws, to come join us on Pondering every weekday. And in the meantime, whatever you do. Oh, thank you, Sherry. That means a lot to me. Sherry says, I agree with you, Pastor. Great narrative. God bless you, sweetheart. That makes me feel good to hear that from you. So anyway, listen, in the meantime, stay in the Word. Keep praying. And do not check your brain at the door. Keep on pondering. And we'll see you mañana. Bye for now.